The sun dipped below the rugged horizon of Mount St. Helens. Shadows stretched long and dark across the dense forest. A hush fell over the wilderness as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple and deep orange. The air, still warm from the summer sun, carried the scent of pine and damp earth. It was a beautiful scene, yet there was an undeniable eeriness that settled over the mountain as darkness fell. High up on the slopes of the mountain, a group of 5 miners prepared for the night. They had come to this remote area seeking their fortune, hoping to strike it rich in the gold-bearing streams. Their cabin, little more than a rough wooden shack, was nestled amongst towering pines. It offered a fragile sanctuary against the elements and the unknown dangers of the wilderness. The miners, hardened men accustomed to the solitude of the wild, went about their evening chores. They chopped wood for the stove, cooked a simple meal over the crackling fire, and cleaned their tools, preparing for the next day's work. As they ate, their conversation was filled with the usual talk of mining and the hope of finding a rich vein. But beneath their rough exterior, a sense of unease lingered. They were far from civilization, miles of dense forest separating them from the nearest settlement. The isolation was palpable, heightened by the strange sounds of the forest at night, the mournful call of an owl, the rustling of leaves in the wind, the snapping of a twig in the darkness. Each sound sent a jolt of apprehension through them. As the night deepened, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Fred Beck, the group's leader, noticed it first. He felt a prickling sensation on the back of his neck, an unnerving awareness that they were not alone. He looked out the cabin window, his eyes scanning the darkness beyond the flickering lamplight. He saw nothing, but the feeling persisted. Soon the other miners shared his unease. They, too, felt the weight of unseen eyes upon them, heard strange and unidentifiable noises outside their cabin. Their laughter and conversation died down, replaced by a tense silence. They huddled closer to the fire, their faces illuminated by the dancing flames, each man trying to mask his growing fear. Suddenly, a thunderous crash from the roof shattered the silence. The miners leaped to their feet, their hearts pounding in their chests. Something heavy was moving on the roof, something large and powerful. The cabin shook under the force of its weight, sending a shower of dust and splinters raining down from the ceiling. Terror gripped them as the realization dawned. They were under attack. The creatures on the roof, hidden in the darkness, were relentless. They howled and shrieked, their voices echoing through the night, a chorus of unearthly rage. Rocks, hurled with incredible force, smashed against the walls of the cabin. One by one, the windows shattered, sending shards of glass flying through the air. The miners were trapped, their sanctuary under siege by something they couldn't explain. Fear turned to sheer terror as the creatures outside intensified their assault. The miners, armed with their hunting rifles and mining tools, fought back with a desperate ferocity. They fired blindly into the darkness, the deafening roar of their guns echoing through the forest. But their bullets seemed to have little effect on their attackers. The creatures on the roof were relentless. They ripped and tore at the wooden planks, their powerful hands leaving deep gouges in the wood. The miners huddled together, their faces pale and drawn, each man wondering if this night would be his last. They knew they had to hold out until dawn, hoping that daylight would drive their attackers back into the shadows. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the darkness, the creatures outside the cabin abruptly retreated. The silence that descended was deafening, broken only by the sound of their ragged breathing. Cautiously, the miners peered out from their shattered windows. The forest, bathed in the soft light of dawn, appeared eerily peaceful, but the evidence of the attack was everywhere. The cabin was battered and bruised, its roof partially caved in, its walls scarred with deep gashes. And there, in the soft earth outside, were the footprints of their attackers. Massive, man-like prints, far larger than any human could have made. They were a chilling reminder of the terrifying ordeal the miners had endured and the mysterious creatures that lurked in the wilderness. The Ape Canyon Incident, as it came to be known, remains one of the most baffling and intriguing encounters in Bigfoot lore. The miner's tale, dismissed by some as a hoax or an exaggeration, continues to fuel speculation and debate. Did they truly encounter a group of unknown primates, large and powerful beyond anything known to science? Or was it something else, something born of the darkness and the isolation of the wilderness that haunted their night on Mount St. Helens? The answer, like the footprints in the dirt, remains elusive, a mystery etched in the annals of the unexplained.
Have your own Bigfoot encounter? Feel free to leave it in the comments down below.